today's presentation. We have been looking at general materials. In my last presentation, we looked at biographical general materials. Today, we'll be looking at geographical general materials. Somebody once wrote in the exam, biological general materials. There is no such a thing as biological general materials. Do not confuse the two between biographical and geographical general materials. Okay? So, geographical general materials, these are books in terms of their content that emphasize geographical places. The book of Joshua is a good example because its content centers on the movement of the people of Israel from the Transjordan, that is east of the Jordan River, to the land of Canaan. The book recounts the people's progressive conquest and distribution of the land. The book of Joshua has a number of other significant features, including the person of Joshua himself. However, if you were to ask whether the land has significance because of the person of Joshua or whether Joshua has significance because of the role he plays in relation to the land, one would be made to acknowledge that the land is of primary significance. So if the land is of primary significance, then I do not understand why the book is called the book of Joshua. Then I'd rather have the book of Joshua called the book of Canaan, the land of Canaan. That is just my own thought. So Joshua has the significance he does within the program of this book because of the role he plays in the conquest and distribution of the land. Thus, the general materials of the book of Joshua are geographical rather than biographical. Indeed, posing just that kind of question is helpful in determining what is and is not the primary concern of the content in a given book. The book of Acts is another good example of geographical general materials, and in the book of Acts we spend a bit more time here. Scholars have often noted that Acts 1:8 may be a virtue table of contents for the book of Acts. But you shall receive power when the Holy Spirit has come upon you, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem. Okay? So when you look at chapters 2 and 7, they are more focused on Jerusalem. In all Judea and Samaria is more focused in chapters 8 to 12, and to the ends of the earth, that is the rest of the material in the book of Acts. And here's how probably your table of content would look like. You have your contents there. Chapters 1, you have your introduction. Chapters 2 to 7, you have Jerusalem. And chapters 8 to 12, you have Judea and Samaria. And chapters 13 to 28, you have ends of the earth. When we talk of the ends of the earth, we're not talking of the end of the world. We're talking of geographical places. Map of places in Acts based on table of contents. So I just want to try and make things look more clear. We have Jerusalem, Judea, and Samaria. That is chapters 1 to 12. So I've put Jerusalem, Judea, and Samaria together because you will see that Jerusalem is actually within Judea. Okay, you have the southern part there of where you have Judea, and you see that it is within Judea. You have the city of Jerusalem. Then the central part you have your Samaria there, and then the northern end there you have Galilee. And then chapters 13 to 28. These are the regions. This is a map which shows the places which are being made witness to from chapter 13 to 28. This map on your right. Okay? And so the next map I want to do is just show a more zoomed in image of that second map. And this region was known as Asia Minor. So the map you're about to see is the map of Asia Minor. Okay? Back in the day, that's what this region was called. It was called Asia Minor. And all those you are seeing in red dots, these are the towns and cities where witness was being made for the most part. On the west side, you can see something written like Mysia, Asia, or sometimes it was just called Asia. So on the east side, you have a region called Asia, and on the west side, you have the region of Asia Minor. But overall, the whole of this land was just known as Asia Minor. As you shall see in this map, showing the map of modern Asia Minor, how it looks like today. This is a country called Turkey now. Okay, so Asia Minor back then covered, we can say, 2/3 of modern day Turkey, and the Asia Minor and the Asia of today is not the same, they are different. You can see on the southern end of Turkey, we have Asia today, but the Asia Minor of then and the Asia of today, they are not one and the same thing. Then we have the map of the world at the time of Jesus, how the world looked like. So the maps we've been looking at mainly concentrated, in fact, all of them, they're just concentrated in the Roman Empire, the one in orange shade showing the Roman Empire. And for the most part, is that part just written empire there, where you have your Asia Minor for the most part. This is the region shown was being outreached based on the book of Acts. Okay, so the world was far much bigger than the Roman Empire. Okay, there were other places. Yes, this map is not even showing the American regions and half of the Africa, that is the southern end. Now, what I'm going to do is give us a breakdown of the book of Acts in terms of material emphasis, shifts of emphasis in the material. Okay, we are looking at structure, and particularly we're looking at how the material is structured in terms of divisions of material emphasis. Okay, shifts of emphasis. So the first thing I've done is give the book of Acts a general theme, and that theme is eyewitness accounts for Jesus from Jerusalem to Rome. So I use the word eyewitness because my observation in the book of Acts is that the witnessing is mainly being done by those who receive a direct and personal commission from Jesus himself. Yes, there are other characters mentioned, witnesses, who may not have been eyewitnesses, but mainly it's dominated by eyewitnesses. So we have other witnesses like Apollos, Aquila and Priscilla, Stephen, Philip, and so on and so forth, who are doing a great work of witnessing for Jesus in the book of Acts. But the dominant characters are those who have received a personal commission from Jesus himself. Now, I observe that there is a shift of emphasis between chapters 1 and 2. Okay? And the reason for that is that chapter 1 seems to be a preparation, and chapters 2 to 28 seems to be the realization for the preparation that takes place in chapter 1. And what is the preparation? Is that Jesus tells his disciples that they should not begin witnessing until the Holy Spirit comes upon them. Once the Holy Spirit comes upon them, then they can begin to be his witnesses. And we see that beginning to happen in chapter 2, when they are praying in the upper room and the Holy Spirit comes upon them, and that commission to be his witnesses now officially begins. And actually, this is one of the structural relationships or patterns. There's such a pattern known as preparation, realization. Remember, I've said that I'll begin to expose you to patterns or structural relationships in advance, even though we haven't officially begun looking at them, so that you begin to familiarize yourselves with these patterns or structural relationships. Now, I also observe that between chapter 12 and chapter 13, there is a shift of emphasis, and that is that chapters 2 to 12, it's mainly focused on the bearing of witness in Jerusalem to Jews and Peter as the chief witness. So this is what I mean, that eyewitnesses. So you see that Peter, his name keeps recurring in these chapters 2 to 12. His name is so dominant over other names of witnesses. Okay, and the focus, in as much as non-Jews are also being witnessed to, but it's mainly focused on the Jews and the land of Israel, even though the witness is also is going beyond Israel, but the focus is on Israel and the Jews, and Peter as the chief witness. And then from chapters 13 to chapter 27, my observation is that the bearing of witness is mainly concentrated and focused on Asia and Asia Minor to the Gentiles, okay, and the voyage to Rome. And the chief witness is Paul, okay. So Paul, you can see that he is the chief witness to the Gentile world, whereas Peter seems to be the chief witness to the Jews, okay. Then we look at sections within the first division, chapter 2, verse 1, all the way to chapter 8, verse 4. My observation is that the focus is so much on witnessing in Jerusalem. And then I label it capital A, of course. And then the last section in the first division is mainly focused on the witnessing that is happening in Judea and Samaria, and I give it the label capital B. And then also we look at the second division. The first section is from chapter 13, verse 1, all the way to chapter 21, verse 17. And my observation is that it's mainly focused on witnessing happening within Asia Minor and its surrounding regions. And I also label it capital A. And then we have the second section within the second division from chapter 21, verse 18, all the way to chapter 27, verse 44. And my observation is that this section is mainly focused on events of voyage to Rome, and I label it capital B. So events of voyage to Rome is because it is in this section that Paul ends up getting arrested when he travels to Jerusalem, and he claims to be a Roman citizen also, so he wants to appeal his case to Rome, and so hence the voyage begins to Rome. And then we have the last chapter, which my observation is that it's the conclusion, and then we have that arrow, blue arrow, indicating the spread, the gradual spread of the gospel from Jerusalem through Judea, Samaria, to Asia Minor and its surrounding regions, until it reaches Rome. So Acts concludes with witnessing reaching its climax in Rome. Okay, so we have a climax. It's like the witnessing, once it reaches Rome, it has reached its peak. And I think we've already briefly looked at the pattern of climax. Okay.